1 year ago, the Monterey County Civil Grand Jury took a dive into local elections to look at how the process is handled now and what needs to change moving forward. They put together this series of recommendations, but the list can be boiled down to these points. 1, find a more efficient way of voting that's less volunteer dependent, starting that process in 2022. Number 2, expand internet or mobile voting in a gradual way. Explore this starting in 2022. 3 is better supervise the outside agencies, preventing situations like that 2018 late ballot in Gonzales issue. And then 4, improve communication with the county to deal with older equipment. So here is where things stand now, 1 day before the 2020 presidential election. The 2019 Monterey County Grand Jury dive into local elections is largely positive. It says the elections office method is cost-effective and efficient, and the staff is interested in a reliable process. But let's go through the recommended changes. First, find an election process that is less dependent on volunteers. Speaking with Assistant Registrar of Voters Gina Martinez, 2 years from the non-binding 2022 deadline, I learned volunteers are still crucial. The good news, the attention on the election and the process brings in a flood of help that wasn't there before, especially with volunteers often being older.
We've received messages from our younger voters who are saying, you know, it's time for me to step up because I know that the traditional poll worker is susceptible to this virus that's going around.
And Martinez says they can't go to a less volunteer-dependent system just yet because that system would be a move to more internet-based or mobile voting. Another request from the grand jury that simply can't happen yet. California state law says no part of a voting system shall be connected to the internet at any time, electronically receive or transmit election data through an exterior communication network, or receive or transmit wireless communications or wireless data transfers. Dr. David Anderson is a senior lecturer in the Department of National Security Affairs at Monterey's Naval Postgraduate School.
As appealing as technology might be in the abstract, in reality, the technology simply isn't strong enough, isn't secure enough, and people aren't familiar enough with it to know how to do it.
If you remember, Iowa Democrats tried an app for their February caucus during the 2020 presidential primaries. Issues sending the results led to delays and then massive uncertainty among the residents and even candidates. The good news, we're seeing improvements. The grand jury mentions Monterey County's direct recording electronic equipment used by handicapped voters needing to be replaced. This is what greets voters now.
It also accommodates individuals who might be quadriplegic. You can hook a sip and puff machine up to this system, and the voter would be able to mark their ballot. This system prints out the ballot to be tabulated with the other ballots.
And in 2018 came the issue in Gonzales. About 2,000 mail-in ballots didn't arrive on time. The elections office said their printing vendor didn't print the mail-in ballots. So the grand jury said there needs to be better oversight. The answer, a new series of checks and balances.
Now with the USPS, we have added communication steps with each of the postmasters across the county to ensure that everyone has received their material.
And finally, the report recommended a process for replacing aging existing equipment and evaluating new equipment needed in the future. The elections office insists they're getting the funding from the state and federal government needed.
We are seeking an opportunity to have a special fund within the general fund to help source these to keep up with the changes in voting technology.